I walked into the restaurant expecting to see my wife waiting, maybe nervous, maybe hopeful, but hers was a face I thought I knew. Instead, a stranger took the seat across from me, her movements sharp, her presence cold. Her smile was like the glint of a blade, thin, cruel, dangerous. "Hello," she said, voice like iced metal. Then she slid a thick stack of papers across the table. "Your wife isn't yours anymore. Sign these if you want to keep breathing through the night." She didn't blink. Her threat hung in the air like a noose, taut and ready. I looked her in the eyes, not flinching, not giving her the satisfaction of seeing the crack forming in my chest. I smirked, pushed the papers back across the table, and told her exactly what dark place she could vanish into. Then I stood up, heart hammering like a war drum, and walked out without giving her another glance. But the nightmare didn't end there. When I stepped inside my home, something felt wrong. The air was heavy. It smelled like tension and cheap cologne. Before I could switch on the light, a shadow peeled itself from the darkness. A man. Broad-shouldered, leather jacket hanging off him like he was born to wear it, a smirk on his face that reeked of arrogance and something darker. "Didn't you get the message?" he asked, voice lazy. "Need me to carve it into your face?" I barely had time to react. His fist exploded against my cheek like a hammer. Pain lit up behind my eyes. I stumbled, the floor lunged up at me, and then blackness claimed me like a curtain dropping on a cruel play. They thought I'd break. They thought I'd lie there, bleeding and afraid. They forgot who they were dealing with. When I woke, my face was raw with pain, blood crusted to my lip, jaw screaming. I tasted iron and vengeance. The house was empty. They'd already disappeared like cowards do. They hadn't stolen anything. They didn't come for valuables, they came to scare me. To push me toward panic. To make me lash out and fall right into the trap they'd built. But I didn't scream. I didn't rage. I documented. I became cold and methodical. I took photos of my battered face, of the furniture they'd smashed. Every bruise, every crack in the drywall became ammunition. I wasn't going to fall into their chaos, I was going to drag them into mine. Then I got to work. I called my lawyer before sunrise. Booked a private investigator. Hired a cybersecurity specialist to sweep every device in the house. No emotion. Just strategy. I wasn't bleeding, I was loading my weapons. Within 2 days, the investigator returned with a report that felt like poison in my hands. My wife had been siphoning money from our joint account for months. She had a hidden fund. She had built an escape route. The woman from the restaurant? A mercenary tied to a sketchy collections outfit. The man in the leather jacket? Her new lover, a man with a record dripping in violence and intimidation. They didn't just betray me. They designed an entire performance. Isolate me. Provoke me. Paint me as the villain while they played victims of an unstable husband. It was elegant in its cruelty. But it had one fatal flaw: they underestimated me. I froze the accounts. Triggered a forensic audit. Our prenup had teeth, and now those teeth were tearing through every deception she'd woven. She thought she'd walk away rich. She didn't realize she'd walk away exposed. Then came the legal hammer. My team filed charges: assault, conspiracy, coercion. Evidence flowed like a river. Photos of my injuries, surveillance footage from a neighbor's security cam showing her boyfriend lurking around the property, restaurant audio catching every word of her threat. A restraining order was granted before the weekend hit. They couldn't come near me again. Not legally. Not through proxies. Not without consequences. But I wasn't finished. I didn't rant on social media. I didn't play the victim. I let the truth do the speaking. Her family received anonymous packets, copies of court filings, financial records, her betrayal in black and white. Her employer got a quiet tip, just enough to trigger a review. Friends? I didn't say a word. But gossip travels fast when it has facts to ride on. The lie she told, that I was the monster, shattered the moment the real story surfaced. As for her lover? His past caught up with him. The PI found unpaid child support, DUIs, a history of abuse. One anonymous call to his gym and his job evaporated. No paycheck. No respect. No shield. They thought betrayal was something that disappeared in the dark. But scandals burn brightest in the daylight. When she finally crawled into court, she stood alone. Her lawyer had dropped her. No friends showed. No sympathetic looks. Just her, hollow-eyed, facing a storm she lit herself. The judge didn't even need convincing. Divorce granted. No spousal support. She forfeited her share of the assets. She had to pay my legal fees out of the account she tried so hard to hide. I walked out of the courthouse untouched, unshaken. My house. Reclaimed. New locks, new paint, new furniture. Every trace of her purged. Not a memory left behind. Weeks later she sent a message. One final flicker from the ashes. We were supposed to be forever. How did it come to this? I didn't reply. Because closure doesn't come in texts. Comes in choices. And I had already made mine. I chose to survive, to fight smart, and to win without lifting a single fist. She thought betrayal would bury me. But I turned it into fuel, and I burned everything they built to the ground.